Basically, it would be like two things on the desk, but yeah, that's fine. Because this poll would be gone.
Oh, we're live. Are we live? We're live.
Okay.
Hey. I don't know how much of that shop talk you picked up there. Welcome to the spoiler section. We're going to get right into it.
Yeah.
A little bit of a marching band time crunch today. Got to go watch my boys do some marching band.
Yeah. They play the trumpet?
No.
That's the song they're playing today?
No. Nope, they're playing
No Star Spangled Banner?
Seal Kissed by a Rose is in there.
Seriously?
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
They're doing a War of the Roses is their theme.
Oh, is Michael Douglas going to show up?
He stars in it. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I was surprised that they were able to get Michael Douglas,
Yeah.
but
I mean, it is Republic High School. It's
true.
Like, it's high
it
echelon.
is the place to be.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. Let's do it. Welcome to the SiftSpoil for Joker. We're going to take a look at anything that might be considered a spoiler and go a little more in depth. Could be hanging threads, romances, jokes, Easter eggs, cameos, deaths, resurrections, or post-credit sequences. There are none post-credit sequences.
It's true. I looked.
So if you haven't seen the movie, I would recommend that you go away. For a couple of reasons. Number one, we're going to spoil it for you. Mm-hmm. And number two, we don't kind of go in order. We just kind of jump around.
It'd be confusing.
Yeah, it might be a little bit confusing. So let's do this. Let's continue our disagreement.
They all die.
On what on where we land with the Joker. Where do you want to start on this thing? Like, there were some things that I know you wanted to touch on, specific examples of things.
Yeah, but I don't remember because
isn't that funny? We should make those. Phil should write that stuff down.
I remember one of the big ones was you wanted to talk about things that you weren't sure if they were real or not.
Oh yeah, tell me what you think might have been fake.
I think the whole thing might have been fake.
Spoiler alert: the whole thing is fake. It's all based on a comic book character.
I think the whole movie potentially was in his head.
Wow.
Well, then what does that mean? That makes the movie so much worse if that's the case.
I'm saying it's a potential. I don't think it is, but I'm saying that I don't
think the movie indicates that at all. Where does the movie indicate that?
Where the whole thing, whenever the movie ends with him in the psychiatrist office and he says, I was just thinking of a funny joke. I think what he's saying is everything that we saw was in his head and that was the joke. And then she's like, could you mind telling me? He's like, you wouldn't get it.
That's
a stretch.
I do think it's a stretch, but it's very intriguing.
I don't find it intriguing at all. I find that not only is it a stretch, if that's even an option, that makes this movie like legitimately bad.
No,
come
on.
No, that's really.
What do you think he's saying on that last line? Which joke is he specifically thinking of?
Well, he's what joke is he thinking of?
Or like what did he find funny that wasn't really funny? That he was.
Well, I mean, first of all, he has that laughing thing that he does. But I think the joke overall that he's talking about is just the joke of society. It's just the idea that, me embracing my murderous self is hilarious to me. You wouldn't find it funny, kind of thing.
Right.
But I think it's also meta. We talked about the meta-ness. Yeah. And I think he is speaking to the audience in that way a little bit too. I think there is an element of the way it finished. By the way, this movie has like 4 or 5 different endings or possible endings, and the one the one that it decides to go with is very slapstick, and I think is again attempting to go the comedy route with this movie and kind of finish in that way. So, but yeah, that's what I think's going on. But yeah, so you think the whole thing?
I'm saying I think that the movie leaves that as a possible interpretation. I don't
100% disagree, but that's fine. I mean, that would be so weird to me. I can't even process that.
How can you think that that's too weird and you loved Ad Astra when everything in that movie is up to the audience's interpretation?
Well, there's a difference between
I'm just giving you a hard time.
narrative and metaphor and trying to balance those two things. and narrative and sub-narrative, which is what you're talking about. So metaphor is different than a movie that has the sub-narrative of unreliable narrator or whatever you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't sense that in this movie at all. I think everything in this movie happened except for the things we're explicitly told didn't happen.
Yeah.
I think this movie is very clear about what happened to his mom. I think this movie is very clear about what happened with his neighbor, with the Zazie Beetz character. I think we are given all those answers narratively.
Yeah. By the way, the whole Zazie Beetz thing with her being in his head for, I don't think that was supposed to be a big reveal. I think that we were supposed to know she wasn't there the whole time.
Well, I hope so, because it certainly was obvious.
It was very obvious, and I think that Todd Phillips knew that was going to be obvious. I think that wasn't the point.
Maybe. I hope so.
There were people around me that gasped when they revealed that.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it struck me as an obvious story movement, but
I didn't know for sure, but the fact that she was like so like immediately liking this guy when everyone else is shunning him, ignoring him, kicking him, I was just like, this can't be real.
I think you're probably right. I don't know that the story doesn't need it to be a surprise. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
He sets that table with the talk show appearance at the beginning where he's like the dad I never had or whatever, that whole scene.
Oh, that was powerful
at the beginning. That was all in his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he sets the table for that. I don't know. It doesn't bother me if it was, intended to be obvious.
So things like that, him imagining himself in the talk show, or Zazie Beetz, falling in love with him, all of that stuff lends itself to the quote unquote unreliable narrator. So I think that could lend itself to this whole movie being in his head, because
it doesn't though.
Yeah, it can.
No, those things aren't unreliable narrator. Those things are very reliable narrator. The movie makes a very specific comment on those things. It makes those things clear. It doesn't leave them up for your interpretation. Like, the movie is very clear on both of those things.
But him not being able to discern what's real and what's not.
Right.
And this movie, while it's not told it is told from his perspective, because we're seeing everything in his head that isn't there. So we are sharing his mind. So the simple fact that he can realize that things aren't real, that doesn't mean that he picks up on everything that's not real. So if he isn't of sound mind, we can't trust anything.
I mean, I disagree. I think we're let in on his delusions, the two specific ones, but I don't think the rest of it is supposed to be. I think we're supposed to have a view into what his actions and what he's doing, but I don't think we're in his head.
Because the movie starts off with him talking about how he used to be in the mental institution, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it shows him, banging his head against the glass and everything. I think that if you were to go back and rewatch this movie, which I'm excited to do, I really, really am, to go back and watch this with the mindset of thinking every single thing in this movie is in his head. I am really excited, because while I don't think that, I think that he really does become the Joker, and that, he really did kill those people. I think that this movie could have so many different interpretations.
Okay. Yeah.
So what other things were you concerned, or not concerned, but confused by?
So let's talk about what this movie is trying to do and the consequences of that. I think in many ways this is a much stronger movie if it's outside of the DC universe. If we're just dealing with,
it's a confined story
with a human being. I think the way this movie ties the Waynes and Batman, and we see Thomas and Martha go down again, and the pearls fly.
This is my number one con with the movie. I was so excited about not seeing a Batman origin scene in a movie that deals with Batman.
Yeah.
But I still saw
I honestly didn't think Batman was going to be in this movie. I thought this was just going to be a Joker origin story, and I kind of wish it was, without even but the movie definitely wants to go there, and that's fine. It doesn't have to go where I expect it to go, but it ties itself so closely to the mythology of the Batman stuff that I think we then have to wrestle about what that means for this character within the Batman world. And this is fine for the origin story of a separate Joker character, but this Joker character would not be the same Joker character I've seen in any other Batman movie.
Yeah.
This Joker character is not super intelligent, is not a mastermind. This Joker character is an accidental, mentally unstable human being that accidentally himself into followers and a group of people and is just embracing his ridiculousness. I don't understand how that becomes any kind of mega villain. I don't understand, like, the consequences of what this tells us about the Joker character can bring us understanding, can bring us empathy, can bring us information, can do all of those things. But because it's so tied to the Batman universe, I think it's contradictory enough that it's distracting to me and a little weird to me. I just don't get how, you know, like, you watch Heath Ledger, or you watch any other Joker version, and again, I don't read the comic books, so I don't know about the comic books, and it's just this super intelligent match for Batman, right? It's Batman's the detective and Joker is the best case because he's so smart and can use media to do things, and this is not who this person becomes.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So it's, I don't know, there's a little bit of a disconnect there that at least especially if they do a sequel, they're going to have to deal with those consequences and figure that out. So that's one of the things I was talking about, kind of where the movie goes that was a little bit weird to me. The other thing I know specifically I wanted to mention was the De Niro character and the decisions that he makes.
Yeah, what decisions did he make?
Okay, so he goes, and the thing he does at this unknown nightclub, right? He bombs or whatever, but he's laughing at his own jokes. And then they, for whatever reason, put that on their late night talk show.
Okay.
And then invite him to be on the show.
Have you never seen Tosh.0?
Well, I have seen Tosh.0.
That's literally the entire premise of that show. So it's not unprecedented.
But have you ever seen Letterman or Leno or
Conan's done it?
Or Conan?
Conan's done it.
Conan would never have done something like that.
He has
not
done
a
it.
chance.
I will.
To make fun of somebody like that and bring them on specifically to make fun of them,
He's done
not
it.
a chance.
He's
Give
done
me the example.
Okay,
it's never happened.
He used
not
to have
a chance.
a bit where he would have people write in like, because he would have this thing where it's like, I've never made a mistake on the show, and then he would have like actual people like send in videos of them pointing out like actual like mistakes that he made on the show, like misquoting something.
Yes.
And then he would go out of his way to ridiculously prove that they were wrong, and like he would make fun of them, like how they looked on the videos and stuff like that. Like, hey, next time you want to try and prove me wrong, why don't you wear a shirt or something like that? He would do that.
Well, yeah, you don't see how that's completely different?
No.
Okay, so the difference there is he is the butt of that joke. Conan is the butt of that joke. He knows it. The audience knows it. Everybody knows it. They know he's being ridiculous, that these people aren't wrong, that they aren't, bad people or whatever. This character in this movie is making this person the butt of the joke, not just in an offhanded, let's just show the video kind of way, but I'm going to bring you on here to publicly make fun of you on my show.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I've never seen anything like that.
You can't say you've never seen anything like that when Tosh.0
I can say that because it's true.
Tosh.0 is that.
Tosh.0 has brought people on specifically to make fun of them.
Oh, yes. That is literally the show.
I've never seen it.
That's literally the show.
No, the show is he does clips.
But he brings that person on and makes fun of them.
Live.
Yes.
In the studio.
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Yes.
So
he will bring them on the show, interview them, and they are blissfully ignorant to the fact that he is making fun of them.
I'm just telling you, I didn't buy any of the motivations of that talk show team. It just seemed really weird to me, and what they were doing. And the fact that it's just such a, I don't know. It's like a forgotten part of the movie. Like it serves the story. It serves the plot to do. And I don't think the actual decisions of the characters make much sense.
So can I offer a little bit of a theory that combines those two things?
Sure.
If it is all in his head, all of that talk show stuff makes complete sense. Like that is something that someone with mental illness.
And I think that's a worse movie if that's the case.
Andrew's not alone, by the way. Like LA Times, Cinema Blends, IGN, they're all coming up with all in his head theories.
Oh, really?
On their websites, yeah. So I'm not saying that Andrew's right. I'm just saying that other people are also wondering the same thing.
Sure. Well, I
don't think that there's a right or wrong. I think this is all up to interpretation and how you want to view this movie. I think the movie lends itself to multiple interpretations, and there is no right or wrong way of looking at it.
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he was in a straitjacket the entire time that those events were happening. I think it does explain certain things in the movie that are hard to wrestle with, like the reality of it. Like that wouldn't really happen. Like, well, it didn't really happen, you know.
This will be the final thing I say about it. Number one, I disagree completely. I think the movie is very clear that all this happened. Number two, if that is the case, this is an even worse movie than I thought.
You have to tell me why it's an even worse movie.
Because if all of this was in his head, it means even less, and it has nothing to do with the Joker. There is no reason to tie this movie to the Batman universe whatsoever, if that's the case. It eliminates not only those muddled messages that are competing to try to say something, and I'm not exactly sure what. It not only eliminates them, it undercuts them. It completely eliminates their ability. And if that is the case, and the movie wanted us to believe that or think that or process with that, I think it would have been made differently. I think there would have been moments where we were alert to clues. And maybe I just missed the clues, but you know.
I think the only thing that kind of breaks down the theory a little bit is, unless you believe the movie is trying to do like an Inception dream within a dream thing, that it's a little weird that he would be imagining a world where there's like that you know, non-real scene that's happening within a non-real scene. You know what I mean? And so that's a little weird for me.
I can relate to that. Every single time I have a anxiety attack, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not.
Yeah. No, I'm sure that is, again, that is why I think it's all right there on the screen. We're not seeing it from his perspective in those moments.
I definitely think it's an interesting conversation to have about the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't come
Well, it
away.
doesn't surprise me at all that, I mean, people do that about every movie, you know.
Yeah.
Here's our weird theories. It's, you know, there's a clickbait aspect to it as well.
I did not come away thinking that. I didn't have that theory at all. But yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I really liked the Zazie Beetz. Is that how you pronounce it? I actually really liked her. I hadn't seen her in anything. You guys, I'm sure, have. But
Deadpool 2? I
haven't seen Deadpool 2 yet. Yeah, I guess she's Domino in that, right?
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah.
I think it's Zazie Beetz. I haven't heard for sure how her first name's pronounced, but
Zazie is Zazie. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
She was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was awesome.
I was definitely surprised by how few performances are in the movie besides Joaquin. It's
his movie.
It's 80%
and I don't know if it was always going to be that. Like I said, I think maybe a lot of stuff got left on the cutting room floor so that it could be like solely his movie.
I think this was from the get-go. It was supposed to be this is his movie. I really do think so.
Yeah, I just don't know to this degree if it was supposed to be that. I can see a world where Todd came back with an assembly cut that was like 3.5 hours long, which is pretty, normal, and then decided to keep as much of the Joaquin stuff as possible, and so a lot of other stuff kind of hit the floor. But I think it was always intended to be a showcase piece for Joaquin. But I wonder if it was supposed to be even this much. I just think he's so brilliant in it that he probably kept a lot of it.
Did you not like the parallels with the Bruce Wayne and Thomas Wayne stuff? Like, was it okay that was stuff was in the movie?
It's fine that it's there. I just think it changes this movie's ability to say something new or to do something new. I think it becomes much more of a comic book movie.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, it becomes much more of a comic book movie that we've seen before in those moments. The plot is so reliant on those beats of Bruce Wayne, seeing him through the fence, Bruce Wayne seeing his parents, gun. Like it becomes a Batman origin story as well as a Joker origin story. And I just, I think this movie is more able to live in its authenticity if it just leaves that stuff aside and just removes it.
But then it's not a Joker movie.
Well, I mean, it still could be.
If there is no Joker without Batman, and there is no Batman without Joker.
Okay, and so that's what the movie is saying. See, I don't know that.
I don't think that's what the movie's saying. I think that's just from a comic book aficionado.
Let me see if I can clear this up. It could have used it peripherally as as existing without being so specific about those connections. You don't need for the movie I'm talking about. For this movie, you do need these things. So please understand, I'm not saying this movie doesn't need these things, or that they're not a key part of what can make this movie interesting. But the Thomas Wayne scene in the bathroom, the scene at the gate, the death scene, scenes like that, this movie can exist without them and still be a Joker story with just mentions. He could have those conversations with his mom or the psychiatric hospital about, like all that stuff is still good, that she thinks that, her and Thomas Wayne had him. That delusion, that can be in the periphery, and so it's still a Joker movie. But to bring it all so front and center, I don't know. I wasn't expecting it, and I think it offers some cognitive dissonance as to what this movie is trying to do and trying to be.
From your perspective, and again, it's the perspective I share that this is all real. I'm just saying that there could be a theory.
Yeah.
Then I think that the movie benefits from showing all that, because at the end of the movie, when we see Thomas and Martha gunned down, and you see Bruce standing over there, that's your hope. That's your light at the end of a tunnel. That's your beacon of hope that you can grab onto, because nothing else in this movie is saying that things are going to be okay. But the fact that there will be a Batman, that's your hope.
Sure.
So I think you kind of have to have that, because if you don't have any of that in the movie, then this movie is just completely without hope, and that there is no redemption.
Well, I don't know that showing that offers more hope than just knowing that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that. I mean, you'd still know there was going to be a Batman if it's the Joker.
Yeah, but knowing and showing are two very different things.
But what does the movie show us? It just shows us a kid watching his. Like, it doesn't show us any of. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing. The movie itself doesn't show us anything that would indicate, oh, this kid is going to be a beacon of hope. Like, the movie doesn't show that. We know that because we know it's going to be Batman.
Yeah.
But as far as what the movie's showing us, it's just a kid just lost his parents.
Yeah, but I think that Todd Phillips, on the other hand, is like, you guys know, I don't have to spell it out for you. I don't have to. When I say show, I don't mean show everything. It's not going to be a 15-hour movie where you see that kid grow up to be Batman.
Yeah.
Showing us that Bruce Wayne, like, that Joker had an effect, that he wasn't the direct killer of Thomas and Martha. This masked guy, who I assume is Joe Chill, the guy who killed Thomas and Martha. I assume that's who's under that mask. It could be like, metaphorically, the Joker did kill Thomas and Martha, and that would just solidify that relationship between the Joker and Batman that much more. It makes it that much more endearing and personal to Bruce.
Yeah.
So that could be another aspect of why he had to be in this movie.
Sure.
Because for all we know, for all the comics we've read, the Jokers could, but I say Joker because there's three. I'm not going to go down to that rabbit hole.
I wouldn't be able to follow.
Yeah. There's three Jokers, people. But what was I saying now? The fact that we know now in this universe that there's a potential deeper relationship, and the fact that in all of the comics we've read that there is just a Joker is a bad guy. He is the antithesis to everything that Batman stands for. Yeah, that's enough. But if you're telling me now that there is a personal vendetta probably between Bruce Wayne and the Joker, that makes it that much more powerful and that much more interesting.
Yes.
So I'm going to give Todd Phillips credit for showing me everything that Bruce Wayne was in this movie for.
I just think if you wanted to make that movie, then you have to make different decisions with the Joker character. That's all I'm saying. Is I'm saying there are kind of two movies at battle here. There's one that wants to be a Batman movie, and there's one that wants to be a psychological evaluation of how we treat mental illness. And those movies do not work well together.
I'm giving you carte blanche. How would you change this movie?
If
You still got time, by the way. I'm keeping track of time.
For me, if I were making this movie, first I would have to do a lot of training on what it means to be a director and all the different things that come along with that.
Carte blanche. You have the skills. You got the skills.
Well, no, I only say that because I don't have the skills, and I don't, I haven't studied this stuff. But for me, story-wise, I think I would eliminate the 3 scenes I talked about. I think I would have a very clear. I think I would make the Batman part of it just the last 15 minutes. I think you could watch the first hour and a half of this movie, and it could just be a guy who was a clown, who was dealing with mental illness, and society pushed him to this place. And even his mom, talked about this rich guy or whatever. Don't put names on it. Don't, make it completely so that it can be ambivalent. It could be the Batman story we know that's already in her head, and we can put those pieces in. But you know what? If we didn't, it's not there until the last 15 minutes, of this movie becomes something, different. That I think that would at least allow you to live in a more authentic version of what he's trying to do with this character. Honestly, perfectly, maybe the last 15 seconds. Maybe it's ambivalent. Maybe those last few moments are even more direct but ambivalent about, oh, is this the Joker or is this just a guy? I would love to have come away with that question. Was this a Joker story? Was this a Joker origin story? Or did we? Because then I think you can honestly deal with the deep and painful issues this movie wants to deal with.
So you'd rather name the movie Arthur as opposed to Joker?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I think so. Or Fleck. Yeah. That's just me. That would be my carte blanche. That would be the movie I could walk out of going, wow, you said some powerful things. And, I don't know. That's me.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I don't know if that answers the question fully, but I don't know that I have any other specific scenes that I really need. I guess I do. I have one I want to talk about. The scene where he imitates the welcome on the talk show, where he was great. It's my favorite scene in the movie.
So good.
Joaquin's performance in that is
where he
just
walks through the curtain.
Yeah. I loved it so much. I love that scene so much.
And even though it was in all the trailers, unfortunately, I really did like his descent down the stairs.
Dancing.
He was so in control. So, to use a meta term, so for the first time happy, he was happy.
There's freedom.
Yeah. You could tell, he's finally embracing who he is, and now he's not under all this pressure anymore. It was really beautiful to watch.
Somebody kind of mentioned this, but I'm going to put my own twist on it. Every single time you see him going up those steps, he's always, struggling and hurting and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like going up against, technically gravity, but, going up is struggling. But when he's going down those steps,
it's so easy.
It's so easy for him.
Descent is easy. Growth is hard.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
I really like that.
So the movie's perfect.
So the movie's great, apparently. I didn't realize until just now that the movie is absolutely perfect.
All I had to say at the beginning of this conversation. You remember when he was going up and down those stairs? It meant something.
What? All right. Well, there you go. A perfect movie.
Yeah.
Go see Joker. Thank you for checking out the spoilers. Let's continue this conversation on Twitter, wherever you want to. I do love movie conversations. So, but we will. I'm sure we'll do Gemini Man spoilers next week. So we'll see you then.
Bye.